in a language learning conference, Eurocall, several years ago in Cyprus, and since then we have been doing some research together. And I personally have been also attending this Florence conference several times online and on site. And unfortunately, this time we had to be online, even though we would have wanted to go to Florence, but this time we just couldn't. But maybe next year, hopefully. Okay, let me just try to. No, this. I don't know why I can't make it. I have to use the PDF because it doesn't seem to work with that online material. So the context of this research is non-formal education in Finland. So it is liberal adult education where the very many people in Finland they study as their hobby languages and IT, art, sports, and things like that. And these courses are very affordable because our government subsidizes these courses. And these courses, they are organized in the evenings at schools or online, as these courses are organized online. And the focus of this non-formal education in Finland is personal enrichment and to support continuous lifelong learning. And of course, also foster social contacts and because they are available for everybody, regardless of age or educational background. And the theoretical frame of our presentation is social presence. Vera, would you like to tell something about this?
Thank you, Kirsi. Yes, we two got together because we work with online education, online courses, and I have to say I was fascinated by Kirsi's group of people who are adults and are not the type of people who usually enjoy online courses. So it was a challenge to see how they enjoy it. I teach. Since the pandemic, I have to teach most of my courses online at Stockholm University because it seems to be more convenient for students and the university, not so much for the teachers sometimes. And so we think the social presence framework is very useful and it fits well into this type of teaching environment we would like to see. We would like to see how we can enhance the teaching experience and the learning experience for the students. So I run you briefly through the framework in case you're not familiar with it. The social presence framework is a relatively old framework, which is it's before computers started in as part of teaching. It started with Shaw et al. 1976, who defined the term social presence as a feeling of real connection within an online space. And Gunnar Vadera, 95, she worked further on this field, and she also she was the first one who developed actually a questionnaire, a question catalog to survey the experiences students have in an online space. Characteristics of social presence is taken out of psychology research. Wiener and Merabian and Argyle and Dean very early on found there is a degree of intimacy and immediacy which is experienced by learners in virtual spaces. So we still work today with intimacy and immediacy as indicators how students experience the online environment. 2000, Garrison, Anderson, and Archer developed a framework where they integrated social presence as one of the components. So they have three elements in their framework: cognitive presence, teacher presence, and social presence. And social presence is one of our is part of the community of inquiry framework. And we took it as a framework because the impact is it should foster sense of community online, in online teaching places, increases interaction and improves learning outcomes. So then now I'm ready. So we looked at our data, which we got from Kirsi's class, with the eye of the element of social presence and also teacher presence. So we, Rourke is one of the group of researchers who were in Garrison and Anderson's team, and we use his categories and indicators for designing our study and analyzing the data. So social presence categories are affective, which indicates that there is an expression of emotions, use of humor, and self-disclosure of students who are working online, including the teachers, so the players online. Interactive category is a continuing a conversation, quoting from other messages, asking questions, expressing agreement. And the cohesive category indicates vocatives, referring to group using pronouns, salutations. So indicating there is a feeling of belonging and group. We're looking at the teacher presence now, at categories and indicators that you understand what lens we're using for our study. The instructor presence is also called teacher presence. It depends of the authors. In our writing, we usually refer to instructor presence, but the community of inquirers, they started calling it teacher presence. The category is organizing, and organizing means as a teacher, the instructor, so I use both, instructor or teacher, should clearly communicate what's to do online, and that's very important. It has to be clear communication in written and in spoken form. Facilitating and maintaining, instructor engages, guides, and supports, establishes a community. So online, it might even be more important to have instructor presence than in an on-site classroom. And sense making is another category. That means instructor needs to be in the online class to help to focus on discussions and provides feedback, that students are guided in the way that they understand why they are asked to do certain things. So it has to be well structured in the online classroom, probably more than in the on-site. Yeah.
Well, that was our frame,
Yeah.
and then we designed the course using task-based language teaching. And since it is now online, so the combination of computer-assisted language learning and then task-based language teaching, there is a frame called technology mediated task-based language teaching, and that was our frame which we used in designing the tasks in this course. And you remember that our students, or my students, they were quite old already, so I needed to design the course very well so that they would be engaged in the course even though it was online. So they are not tech savvy or they haven't used that technology much. And in Finland, we use throughout our educational system, we have this learner-centered approach to learning and language learning, which means that the learners are active and they own their own learning. And the aim is that they can use in authentic situations the foreign language. And my focus in this course was on interaction. And next, I will show you the actual design of the online sessions. So first of all, I always had an icebreaker where where the students, when they came to the class, they probably had a whole day working or other activities speaking Finnish, and I wanted to change their brain so to start concentrating on English. So I always had a little icebreaker where they interacted with each other a little bit. Not we didn't go to the topic yet, but just to have the brain work in English. And after that, there was a warm-up session, which was related to the grammar topic we had for that day, or the textbook. And that was teacher-led. And then the main part of the session was this subject, the book chapter or grammar topic, and that was with everybody present in the main room in Zoom, and it was teacher-led. And after that, the participants were divided into breakout rooms to practice what we have learned. It might have been the topic of the book chapter, or maybe it was a grammar that they needed to practice together. And I never ended the class so that the students were in breakout rooms, but I always wanted to have a wrap-up session where we all were together again, and we talked about what we have learned, what are the takeaways of that session, and then somehow again greeting and saying goodbye to each other and thanking for collaboration. So that was our theoretical frame and the design of the course. And then we had 3 research questions. So first research question was, what is the learner's perception of social presence in an online language course in non-formal adult education? And the second one was the learner's perception of the instructor's presence in the same context. And then, because the focus was also in interaction and spoken language skill development, so what is the learner's perception of their spoken language skill development in the same context? And here is the learner demographics. So there were adult learners from 35 to as old as 80 years old. The majority were from 51 to 70 years old. And they had varied backgrounds, even though 45% of them had a higher education degree. But also 17% had only compulsory primary or lower secondary education. And the language proficiency was from A2 to B1. And we had a questionnaire with multiple choice questions and then open-ended questions also. So multiple choice questions, they concentrated on this social presence and then teaching presence, and then we had some additional open-ended questions so we could have a better understanding of their perception. And then the data quantitative analysis was done by basic statistical methods, and qualitative analysis, what we used content analysis for these open-ended questions. And then we have the findings of social presence. Please go ahead, Vera.
Yeah, so we were guided by the indicators, by the categories and indicators of our framework, and the result came with the category affective, that students features, so the features afforded by Zoom platform which shows emotions were perceived as beneficial for creating an emotional online room. So we these results should encourage all of you as well who will teach online to consider what you should use, for example, the emojis on Zoom. The use of humor, we found that was interesting, that came out as the most significant aspect within the affective category. So humor sounds trivial, but it's a very important factor in online teaching. And the safety closure, participants were challenged by sharing personal details, which is important to get to know each other better in that community of inquiry.
Sorry, 5 minutes left, okay?
Okay. Interaction, the category interaction resulted in the asking of questions. The icebreaker task were considered beneficial for interaction to get started. The expressing appreciation, this feature we didn't apply often enough, and we should in our future studies and future teaching consider. The continuing of a conversation was triggered by task design, as Kirsi showed, and the first pair work in breakout room followed by presentations and getting or giving feedback in the main room were very beneficial. So that the teachers are acting, and the teachers the students' agency encouraged. Cohesion. The teacher encouraged students to address each other by name in plenum, and that should be done very early on to learn the names, which is easier online, of course, because the names are popping up underneath the photo of the student. Students address the group as us, which is important, that they get the feeling of belonging to their community of learners. And the wrap-up task required salutations of farewell. So that the instructor teaches etiquettes early on, how to behave online, for example, welcoming and farewells. Okay, this is Kirsi again.
Okay, so for the teacher online, it is very important that the instructions are clear, and it is beneficial if you have the instructions written, and then teachers should also tell them orally and repeat them several times. I noticed that I needed to repeat them several times. And then, of course, a teacher has to keep the flow of the conversations and help the learners to keep focused. And then appreciative feedback is very, very important for the teacher to give all the time, going to the breakout rooms and give feedback on pronunciation and grammar and all that. And then the spoken language development. What was beneficial for the spoken language development? The course design, so that's a task focused on interaction, and then that is also related to course design, that the learners were collaborating, they were always interacting together, and of course learners' own effort and tolerance for errors, so that they don't mind if they make mistakes, so that they just are encouraged to speak and not minding their mistakes. And teacher has to be supportive and have a positive attitude, and then the learning atmosphere is essential. I would say that they enjoy coming to the class. This is just their hobby, so it doesn't need to be very serious, just to have fun and learn a little bit of the English there alongside. And yes, we found that this task-based language teaching was very good frame, and also digital technology and informal communication and humor, they enhance social presence and learning as a sense of being real. And then instructional role is very important, as I already mentioned. The teacher has to facilitate, and then have a long. There's this link between social presence and instructor presence. They are connected. And would you like to, Vera, say the final words?
Yeah, so we found online teaching works actually very well in online classroom if you're conscious of the social presence and the instructor presence, that you're conscious of how to build a safe community of inquiry for the students. Like Kirsi said just before, they feel safe to make errors, they feel safe to share. And it can actually be advantage to be online if you design it well. It's us. Welcome.
That was us. Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I found it really thought-provoking and a very thorough presentation.